Fair Budget Coalition is a coalition of 80 organizations. They do service work, so direct service work, as well as policy and budget advocacy work. And what we do is we do advocacy and organizing around the DC local budget every year in issues connected to homeless service, human services, housing, healthcare, food, and progressive taxes. And the Washington Legal Clinic for the Homeless is a nonprofit organization that provides free legal services for community members who are low to no income, as well as do budget and policy work throughout the year. I particularly work directly with the community members who are benefiting from these programs and help organize and get them involved in advocacy on our budget campaigns every year, as well as the policy work that we do throughout the year. We particularly focus specifically on DC though. The two organizations, Fair Budget Coalition and the Washington Legal Clinic for the Homeless, usually do the same budget advocacy every year. Last year in particular, we were fighting for housing for families and individuals who were homeless, particularly families. For those of you who don't know, DC General hosts a family shelter. Right now it has about 900 families, which means at least 1,800 people if each person only has one child, but it's more than one child, so it's overcrowded. But last year in particular, they were putting people here in this old hospital that was deemed condemned, but they weren't helping them move into housing, and so the families were kind of getting stuck there and staying in this hospital room with their 3 or 4 kids for months at a time. And so we were trying to organize the city to put money specifically in the budget to give those families housing and support services so they could actually move out of the shelter system. And we did meetings, we did actions where we went down and did a rally in front of the Wilson building. We did a lot of different things, but that really didn't work. And so what we decided to do is we partnered with the families, and we brought the families to the Wilson building where they took houses that their children had painted and put, "We've given you a house, now you give us one," on them. And we had the families come in while my stepson sung a gospel song while they were walking behind him, and they actually took over a budget hearing and then placed the houses in front of the chairman at the time, who was Kwame Brown. They placed the houses in front of him. And the reason we did that particular event is because we were trying to get the media to actually make this a bigger issue, because they were sweeping it under the table. We knew media was going to be there, and what ended up happening was the media followed the families out into the hallways and started recording all these stories. And so it went from, we don't have any money in the budget, to like, we have to house these families, and we actually won enough money to house 250 families out of the shelter system last year because of that specific action. That's just one example. It's a loaded campaign, and we do a lot of different advocacy and organizing, but that's one successful example from last year. I really focus on community members who are directly impacted. So I think in DC, one of the biggest problems is that people just don't know what's going on. They don't understand why things are happening to them. So I try to educate people specifically on how this big thing like the budget will break down into your life. And so I do a lot of trainings where I'm explaining exactly what's going to happen. And from that, I build on and this is how you can change it. I also try to encourage community members to come up with those big actions. Often when the people that I work with are in shelters, on the streets, or living in transitional housing programs, and so they're already gathered and they don't know, they just know that they're sitting there, but they don't necessarily know why they're standing still. And so I try to explain, you're standing there because there's no money going into affordable housing, and while you're focusing on they're not helping me, it's a bigger issue. And that's how I think I am successful at getting community members to come out and rally with us, because I make the bigger issues connect right back to them and let them know that history has shown that change won't come until people get involved. We don't win big until we show up big. And I think that that is really important, and the more I can give people examples of that, the more that they'll get involved. And I think also some organizations, we just don't share the information with people because we just don't think they care, but actually a lot of people do care about what's going on in the city. They just don't understand it, and so I try to share it as much as possible so I'm not the only one upset about it. So with the coalition, it is a coalition. So we have 80 different individual members. We do a lot of our work. We go out and we do a lot of interviews with specific people. We try to let them know what's exactly going on. We try to show them what the benefit is becoming a coalition member. With the Washington Legal Clinic for the Homeless, we tend to work with people who we know. For example, this year we have a recommendation for HIV housing that we're trying to push through. So we went out to HIV organizations, let them know what we're trying to push through, let them know why that would be benefit for them. And I think that, again, sharing that information, trying to show them how, you know, in DC, people specifically focus on, like, this is my population and this is how my population is impacted. But really the way that you solve issues is by connecting all those populations and showing how it's going to actually help the city move forward. And the Legal Clinic does a lot of that. We don't just try to focus on, like, people who are homeless, although we're working with people who are homeless, but they have bigger issues that we're trying to solve. And the more we can get that out, that's how we help get allies who are organizations. As far as, like, we do have some allies who are like council members and council staff, and it's just about educating them, showing up at the place and showing them how this can actually be beneficial to you, because it'll be a big win. It'll help you save money in the long run. And, you know, either way the community is going to come out. So would you rather them come out for you or against you? And we try to keep that in mind with the council members and hope that they become allies. But if not, we're okay with that too. Through Fair Budget Coalition, we do a lot of council visits, and we do a lot of the mayor. We don't have necessarily a great relationship with the mayor because he just doesn't necessarily meet with a lot of people. So we do a lot of physical actions reacting to things that he's doing. So we have met with people in his circle who have said that, you know, we know that things are getting through to him, but often with him it's more so of just coming out with people, showing him that the public is paying attention to what he's doing and forcing that hand. With council members, we do a lot of individual meetings. We try to, like, get them on our side at the beginning. We try to show them how this is going to benefit them in the long run. They're all about spending government money wisely, and they're all about being able to show real wins, show how they're saving the city money. So we meet with them and show them how that can happen. We also, through the Legal Clinic, we actually have a good relationship with several different agencies, and it's because we're very upfront about what we do. We're willing to meet with them and work out the issues that we have on an individual basis rather than take it to the public. But I think that both the coalition and the Legal Clinic have a reputation for, if you aren't going to do it right, we will bring it out to the public. And I think that since the government knows that, they try very hard to work with us, because if things are not going correctly, we will expose it, and they know that. So I think it's better for them to work with us than against us, and they know that. And they know that if they work with us, we can solve things more quickly and on a more holistic approach than working against each other, because we all, in the end, want to have a city that's helping people thrive, not fail. Building a campaign or organizing a campaign, you don't necessarily know what resources you'll need until you need them. And what we have found, like, for example, last year when the mayor wasn't responding to us, we did a video to him that we released. And so what we have found is the way that you get the resources that you need is that you get out to the community, you let them know what you're looking for, and you let them know how that resource is going to help benefit them as a community member. So resources change throughout the year, but we really focus on when we have a need, we let the community know, because what we do is to build this community, and so the community is responsible for making sure that we have what we need, as well as we have a very strong coalition that members often will step up and help us with whatever resources we need. And the Legal Clinic puts its money where its mouth is a lot, and if we need something, we will fund it, because we know that our campaigns, if they fail, people will fail. And so we often step up with our own if we have to. We adapt. I think when you look at our campaign last year, particularly with the homeless families, we tried several different ways to get them to see our point of view, to get them to see that they actually need to be getting families into housing, and they just wasn't listening. So we adapted, and we got more and more aggressive, and we changed, and we went from, like, testifying and meeting to rallying and coming out, and we approach the media. And I think that in order to sustain yourself in this work, you have to be willing to adapt, willing to work with people one day and work against them the next, because unfortunately and when you're organizing community, you have enemies, but those same people have to be your allies, and you just have to adapt to whatever situation they're going to put you in and be willing to work through it. We actually, so we hit our campaign from two perspectives. We work with people who are directly impacted and who will get benefits from us getting the funding, as well as we work with high income earners who are helping support those benefits. And the reason that we do that is because the mayor is pushing one city, and in order for it to be one city, everyone needs to be involved. And we feel like people in the city care about where their money's going, and if they knew that their money was going to programs that help people move out of poverty, they would be willing to fund them. So we actually do a lot of outreach to both groups, and we try to bring them together, because it's not just about someone being affected because the program will work for them. It's also about, this is my tax money and I want it to be spent in this way. And we understand that and respect that, and we want to be a part of that conversation as well. Our campaign, we work closely with some other organizations that we actually are not members of ours. And what we try to do is, because we often, since we meet with council members, they often do ask us, like, what are you doing with this group? They're proposing this. So we actually try to meet with all organizations ahead of time, make sure we're on the same playing field. Sometimes other organizations' campaigns can help uplift our campaign. If we're fighting for, them to build more shelter, put more housing up, things like that. It's been proven that a lot of people, if they're on the streets, they'll do what they have to do to survive. It increases crime, and we know that. And so we'll work with, crime groups. We'll work with people like that. We'll work with the mental health community. We'll do whatever we need to do. So often our campaigns are an influx of multiple campaigns combined, because we really believe in a holistic approach. And usually most campaigns focus on one specific area because that's what they rose to do, but they come to us when they need that holistic conversation to be happening, and we will build that in for them. I just want people to know that organizing is really, really important. It's really, really hard, but it needs to happen. People count on people not working together so the status quo can remain what it is. And the only way we're actually going to get effective change in this world is if people stay involved and, do the hard work. And one thing about organizing is that if you are not good to yourself, you won't be able to be sustained in it. And one way you're good to yourself is always building new organizers to take the torch. And so it's really, really important that you become involved in whatever community you belong to and wherever you go in this world, because those organizers need you to support the campaigns that will benefit you.